Welcome back to Talking Winter Ops. I'm Rick Nelson, and I'll be your host for the 2025 National Winter Maintenance and Road Weather Briefing Series. This is our opportunity to catch up with our partners in winter maintenance and road weather to find out what they've been working on this past year and what they're planning for the future. These briefings are a way to see if their work might fit into your operation. But before we get started, it's important to give a shout out to the briefing sponsors, starting with the AASHTO Winter Weather Management Technical Service Program, who sponsors Talkin' Winter Ops. Their parent AASHTO committee, the Committee on Maintenance, and their close ties with the Maintenance Operations Technical Working Group, and of course the state DOTs, whose yearly contribution to the Winter Weather Management Technical Service Program make all this possible. So sit back and listen in on this winter maintenance and road weather briefing. Jed Falgren, Minnesota DOT, how are you today?
Fantastic, Rick. How are you doing?
I'm doing very well. Jed, you're up there with the Minnesota DOT, but more importantly, you are part of the leadership team for the AASHTO Maintenance Committee Maintenance Operations Technical Working Group.
That is a mouthful. Absolutely. Great group of people to be around.
So, one of the things I guess that the maintenance operations twig has sort of always had in their wheelhouse snow and ice control, winter maintenance operations, and here in the not so distant past, it was sort of retooled to include all kinds of maintenance operations activities in addition to snow and ice. But that doesn't stop you all from paying attention to what's happening in the winter world. Is that right?
Absolutely. Being a Minnesotan, we're talking about snow and ice all year round, but our crews are busy doing lots of other things, and it's really great when we can connect all of these professionals that have a snow and ice portion of their world that's pretty big, but we still got to mow, we still got to repair a guardrail, we've got to take care of bridges, we've got all sorts of activities to do, and so it's great that we can bring some of those same relationships to all those other activities.
So, Jed, what has been going on with the maintenance operations twig these days?
Well, I'd like to kind of bring up here, share a little bit of a presentation, a little bit of story about what the maintenance operations twig is. And of course, we put the snow and ice equipment on the front page, but lots of things beyond that are occurring. So we're excited that we're getting together here. Let me get to the next one. There we go. Our leadership right now is set up with Brad Dar from the state of North Dakota. He's been a great chair of this committee for a few years, and I'm stepping in for him today to kind of explain a little bit what was going on. Emily McGraw with North Carolina DOT. Certainly, we're going to spend a lot of time this year at our committee of maintenance meeting talking about some of the challenges that North Carolina and the other intercoastal states faced with the hurricanes last year. Alan Hansen from New Hampshire DOT, and then obviously we've got Jeremy at FHWA doing a great job of helping to support our activities. We at our twig agenda, our twig meeting coming up here, I think what always sits at the forefront of every time we get together is we talk about identifying what those research needs might be. How do we generate those issues, those items, those problems that are occurring for all of us that can maybe lead to some type of research need statement, some type of research effort that will help advance all of our activities across the country. This year, we're going to talk a little bit about our efforts in using automation to help support our maintenance activities. We've got a long history in some advanced plow technologies that we are just trying to build the next greatest version of that. A lot of conversation anywhere you're talking in the snow and ice realm about liquids and MDSS and how MDSS can help support what liquids you're using. Obviously, I talked previously about the hurricane response, over a $1 billion ER event that occurred in North Carolina and other states impacted by that. So we're going to hear a little bit about that. Obviously, clear roads and snow and ice impacts from the capital projects. Oftentimes, snow and ice is not necessarily the first thing thought of when it comes to a capital project, and some of the things we can do to best share our story and prepare best for those. Well, we're hoping to hear from FHWA with the updates around Pathfinder, as well as our road weather CMF. No boundaries is, as we talked about, started out today, a little bit of that activity outside of the snow and ice, and that can be quite a potpourri of maintenance activities, and we'll be talking a little bit more about that. And that is a pooled fund that has had some really great success, and we're excited. And as we've been doing most recently here, we're going to get together on Tuesday morning and talk about our winter weather management breakfast. Or, we're still going to call it SciCop, even though I came into it late. It's going to be stuck in many of our minds for many years to come. So we're excited about it.
So, Jed, just to be clear, when we're talking about the TWG agenda, we're talking about their breakouts that are going to occur during the AASHTOs Committee on Maintenance annual meeting, which is coming up in July, the week of July 23rd, in the great state of Minnesota. Is that right?
Absolutely. We're excited to welcome our friends from around the country to come into Minneapolis. We'll spend a little bit of time. It happens to be Minneapolis's annual Aquatennial celebration occurring later that week, but folks will be coming in on Sunday the 20th, and we'll hit it hard Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday with a whole host of activities, with our twig being just one of many different items that will be covered during that event. We're excited to show off a little bit about what Minnesota can do. Long range forecast, we have no snow in the forecast at this point, so we should be good and clear there. One of the things that we really like in Minnesota, and we get pretty excited about annually at the end of our summer, is we have a pretty significant state fair in Minnesota. So for our host state night, we're gonna re-energize a host state night that was done for the Bridge Group a decade ago, and we're going to do a state fair themed event, all things on a stick, and any other types of fair foods, and just a chance at an informal level to get a whole bunch of the folks. Again, we're going to be working hard during the day, but in the evening it's kind of fun to kick back and just be able to share stories, build additional relationships. I can't count the number of times that just small conversations at these types of events have led to a really easing of that crisis that may occur. Somebody else has probably faced the challenge you're facing, and it's just a matter of figuring out who has done it, how they've done it. And I'm a big fan of R&D, rip off and duplicate. It's an important piece of how we serve all of us as transportation professionals, how we serve our community. So, all right, let me just jump forward a little, some other things here that we've been doing. We have a work plan put together, and obviously, part of that involves our supporting of the efforts that CTSO is doing. We're supporting automated and autonomous snowplows. Autonomous mower implementation is certainly something that many of us are seeing it happen out in the world. In fact, in the state of Minnesota, we actually have by statute, we have to put together a study in the upcoming year about how we're going to implement autonomous mowing. We are very happy and very grateful that this group is starting to meet, because obviously, if there's something that we can do that can make something safer, something more efficient, more effective, we want to be able to leverage that. And we just don't see it quite yet on roadside mowing. Yeah, but we're anxious to see all the activities that have been occurring. And obviously we're going to steal a lot of that technology that's been sitting on the other side of the fence line out in the agricultural world. Hopefully there'll be some pieces there that we can leverage. And obviously, we continue as a group to support the FHWA Everyday Counts initiatives. Obviously, lots of things in EDC 4 and EDC 5, as well as the new stuff coming in EDC 6, the next generation of traffic incident management. And you just think about how much we've been able to rely on crowdsourcings and so many things in life, and how do we bring that most effectively to the work that we do as transportation professionals. Lots of things we've done under that piece. Additional items is we all have the responsibility of overseeing a multitude of employees working in various functions within maintenance. And so obviously things that we can do to help support those technical training solutions. How can we take as a large community and bring all of our efforts together and provide a more consistent training opportunities across the states? Obviously that helps us meet the needs of a ever-changing, dynamic workforce that we don't necessarily have a lot of those 30 and 40-year employees, but more the idea of a little bit more rapid churn. And how do we manage that? How can we get an employee? We maybe can't wait 5 years in order for them to become experienced in being able to put something together. We really need to figure out how we can energize them more quickly. And then obviously, a piece that's near and dear to our heart is supporting the winter weather maintenance TSP. That 3-year strategic plan has been put in place for the next 3 years, and we're excited to see a part of that. Another piece that we accomplished during our meeting last year and have continued in the conversation is the idea of how can we best support some of the recent NCHRP work done around snow and ice performance measures. There have been a couple of different groups that were out there. There was a group of states along the East Coast on the first phase of that, and then there was some of us in the Midwest and actually around the country that got together and participated in a study here over the last year. And really, it was great to sit and hear different states and how they are doing their snow and ice performance metrics. Some of us may feel that the performance metrics we're using right now isn't providing us that as good of information as we like, or it's not matching what the community needs or what the legislatures might need, what our operations may need. And this was just a great chance to hear from many others. And I think that will just continue to start that conversation now within Minnesota. We are trying to figure out how can we take 2 or 3 of the best ideas that we heard and incorporate that into the work that we're doing. So we're excited to see efforts actually coming out of that already. There is the guidebook for mechanical methods and snow and ice control. It was approved as an AASHTO document, and now we are waiting patiently, I think, for this publication. It should be coming around the corner anytime soon. But again, it's just that idea of what is for many is kind of baseline understanding and baseline information. How do we get that in a document that we can share easily and quickly for those new employees as well as new supervisors, new leaders? So we're excited to see our work that's done on that. As we talk about a little bit further in another NCHRP synthesis statement is the idea, how do we identify those state practices in conducting that preliminary damage assessments? How do we get out and start to fill out one of those original that everybody wants to know as soon as the floodwaters even begin to subside? How much damage? Where is it? What kind of resources might we need? And while every disaster may have a slightly different look and feel and impact, there's a lot of best practices that we can pull together to try to find what is a way to get the best information. Now, it may not be a perfect cost estimate, but something that really can identify where do we have maybe some big flaws, big challenges, big impacts on our system, and then how do we manage that at the same time? We're taking maybe some of the more mundane, smaller areas and just prioritizing as well as identifying where we're going to go. So very excited to see about that. And obviously, we're going to talk and hear a lot about North Carolina and the stuff that they did during Hurricane Helene. Other goals that we have in 2026 is the idea we want to put some a webinar out there, showcase some of what those winter weather management. SciCop is just so easy, much easier to say, but we're always looking for topics, looking for things that are interesting. want to hear from those states that maybe have something that unique, interesting, that they have tried and done, and they can share that with others. And what I've found in most of those situations, even when we've shared best practices from our state, is that our solutions get better by just by the questions that are asked in those webinars. And oh, maybe we didn't think about that. But our goal is to get a few of those webinars out there so we can at least be talking again, continue that dialogue. Really excited about an upcoming meeting that we're having this fall, again, hosting in Minnesota, where we're actually going to get together some of the pooled funds as well as our winter weather management group and sit down face to face and have some conversations. There's some great work that's being happening with Clear Roads, great work being done at Aurora, and how do we make sure that all of those pieces are all fit together, utilized? Sometimes just being aware that somebody else is working on a solution that may be adjacent to what you're doing can really help solidify and improve each of those. Obviously, what we're doing today is the national briefings. That is just a great way, and I know it's a way that I use internally within our department to just share, hey, what's happening across all of the different activities. We hear these pooled funds, and those that are not closely involved in it. Certainly, when I sat in a district maintenance role, and I wasn't involved with many of these national ones, I didn't quite know, what did Aurora do? What did Clear Roads do? What did the MDSS pooled fund do? How do we bring those conversations together? And I think this national briefings format is fantastic. I know it's must reading and must listening for me as I approach this meeting and others. And then obviously we've got an implementation project for the Southeast states for snow and ice control guides. So pretty excited about that. Obviously, we will continue participation in research. I think right now we're trying to, with the TRB adjustments that are occurring, trying to figure out how that's going to impact some of the things that we do, and just trying to figure out how do we best fit, how do we best interact. Oftentimes, I've found that when I've come to the committee of maintenance, for example, even though it's a basic primer that we get each time of how does it go through the process, it's very helpful just to make sure that I'm getting an understanding of how I can best interface, maybe how I can best connect my state's research projects. We are fortunate within Minnesota, not only do we have a department research group, but we have a smaller research group that's just in our maintenance area that we work. And how do we link all of these different pieces? And what we're really excited about coming together as the AASHTO Committee of Maintenance is how can all the states come together and just kind of help us identify what that research program might look like. What are the burning issues of the day that really need some additional research? Oftentimes in the world of maintenance, we are blessed by employees that came off the farm, came off a construction background, and can really do a lot of those skunk works things to build the best little gadget or widget to help them do a project. But at times, we also need to have high tech or maybe more thoroughly and more in-depth research technological things done at a university. And I think it's blending that whole piece together that really helps by the work that we're going to be doing here at the AASHTO Committee of Maintenance meeting, and certainly the work that we're going to do within our group. And I think that wraps me up.
Lots of good stuff going on there, Jed. You hit on a couple of good points. Whenever you get together with your peers, it's a great opportunity to share some stories and how did you go about solving this particular problem or that particular problem. I just can't say enough for the kind of synergy that comes when you put all of these state maintenance engineers together in the same room to start talking about how they approach different things. When you're sitting there in within the confines of your own state, it's easy to think about, oh, don't I have it tough, right? Until you get together with your peers and realize that, maybe you're in a little worse shape than some folks, but maybe you're in a lot better shape than others.
We've had those exact ones where we thought we had it bad and then realized, oh, gee, at least we're not such and such a location. So maybe that's small solace when we've got the challenge that may be in front of us. And it also identifies who do we go for to say, hey, you've had a solution. What did it look like? How'd you make that happen?
Yeah, and I think what's so important about the Committee on Maintenance and this Maintenance Operations Technical Working Group is, well, a couple of points. First, you're all volunteers, right? You're there because you have a passion for that particular element of work. And two, you want to move the needle, right? And I think that's where these technical working groups really come into play is in moving that needle, whether it's national research, whether it's promoting things that have been done in the past, whether it's promoting, like you say, little skunk work activities. I think under that umbrella of the maintenance operations TWG is where this happens.
Absolutely, and could not be more excited about the opportunity to host that group, but also the idea of just having them all once again get together and share some interesting stories. There are some large challenges. I just can't imagine, some of the things that they've had to face when you talk. As we were talking at one of our small group meetings, the items that Emily had to go through and the rest of her folks in North Carolina. At a scale that was just way beyond the bounds and something that nobody expected to have to do. But as a bunch of transportation officials, we don't get the chance to stop, pause, and go out and learn. We have to deal with what's happening right now, and how do we best manage that quickly and effectively. And there's no doubt having a broader group of peers that can help in that process, or at least ferret out some of the issues, really, really is beneficial for all of us.
Jed, looking forward to the Committee on Maintenance meeting coming up next month. Thank you so much for sitting down and giving us a brief on what you've been working on and what we can expect.
Hey, great to talk to you, Rick, and have a fantastic time, and we'll see you in Minnesota soon.
Thanks, Jed. You can listen to all the briefings and other Talkin' Winter Ops episodes on our website, talkinwinterops.com, or wherever you get your podcast content. Video versions are available on Talkin' Winter Ops YouTube channel, and if a slide deck was used during this briefing, it's available through a link in the show notes, along with the presenter's email, so you can reach out and get more information. Thanks for listening in, and until next time, stay safe out there.